What is the point of continuing to read out phone calls with foreign leaders that suggest perpetually, for weeks now, the prospect of additional economic sanctions against Russia without any action actually occurring?
Well, it's an indication. I think it should be an unmistakable signal to the Russians that there are active discussions underway about possible additional economic costs that could be imposed on Russia. That happens to be a fact.
But they've heard that for the better part of 3 months now, since we were in Manila, then the last stage of sanctions being applied. Mm-hmm. What is the point of continuing to discuss if the actions that the West finds vexing continue to happen in Ukraine and the sanctions never come?
Well, I think what we've seen in Ukraine over the course of the last probably couple of months, as you point out, is a lot of mixed signals that we've seen from Russia. That there have been indications where there have been reports that troops were being withdrawn from the border with Ukraine.
I mean, do you believe this is working?
Well, I think that there are any number of reasons for us to be concerned about the continuing situation that we see on the ground in Ukraine. There's still a lot of violence there. There's still indications that the Russians haven't taken the necessary steps to close off the border, that there are still heavy weapons and material that's being provided from the Russian side over to pro-Russian separatists on the Ukrainian side. There continue to be concerns about whether or not President Putin is actually using the influence he has with those pro-Russian separatists to encourage them to abide by a ceasefire agreement. Well, the fact that we're talking about imposing additional costs on the Russians is an indication that there's more we'd like the Russians to do. That's true.
And I guess I'm just trying to get to the heart of the matter. Why is perpetually talking about it better than not doing it? Better than doing it?
Well, again, what we would like to align here are Russia's steps with possible consequences. And we've seen Russia do things like withdraw troops from the border momentarily, and then redeploy troops or reopen the border or start resupplying pro-Russian separatists. There are a lot of mixed signals that we've seen from Russia. What we have made clear is that that's a risky business for Russia to be engaged in. That as long as they fail to contribute in a substantive way to de-escalating that conflict, they are only increasing the risk that the international community will impose further costs and further isolate Russia. There have been reports about the impact that has had on the Russian economy in terms of capital flight, in terms of the credit rating of some of Russia's debt. So there have been costs that have been imposed. There have been consequences for the actions that the Russians have taken, and we've seen the results of some of those costs that have been imposed. But that's correct. There is more that we would like to see Russia do, and there will continue to be close coordination between among the United States and our allies in Western Europe, principally, that put Russia at risk of sustaining further costs if they fail to act constructively to de-escalate the conflict in Ukraine.
Thank you.
Ed?